Hey guys, what's up? Alright, it's Double Deuce back. Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to have an update on the Cison L4-175. I had some issues. I'm going to have to contact Sterling Kit. So this episode is going to go over a couple of things. It'll be a short video, but I want to help you guys out with your oil lines and this starter thing. I don't understand. So anyway, stay tuned, man. Let's get back to it because I got another video of this coming up next. So I got it dialed in now. It's getting better and better. So very good deal on that. And this also was a good deal, but we just got to figure things out. So stay tuned, and here we go. Okay, you see I got my flywheel and starter and yada yada all out of here because these starter motors just ain't making it, man. I don't know. I mean, when I seen the size of the motor and I seen there was two of them in my kit, the first one didn't work at all. As soon as I went to test it, it just popped inside and got red, and so it must have been shorted out. This one worked for a while, and then it just gave up. So the problem is it's got a fixed pinion on there. You can't take the pinion off, and the motor is so thin, you know, it just fits in that groove. So that's another issue. So what I was going to do was I was going to try to put the flywheel on it and remove all the gearing in there, and then put the one-way bearing off the Toyin FS100 on there, and then try to adapt a belt out here somehow, because I know it's, you know, it's going to be another 3 weeks to a month before I get a starter motor from the company. But enough of that. I'll figure that out, and I'll put a video up of what I did. I'll probably end up taking this rear plate off here and just making a flat piece of aluminum without the bell on it, so I can figure out how to, because there is a slot back inside the crankshaft back here, but out here there is no groove for you know, for a pin, you know, to lock it in, and it just holds on by this little clutch thing here, you know, a little clutch grass thing. It slides inside the bearing, and when you tighten it, it squeezes it together and holds it all together. My thought would be to run a keyway all the way out to the end, eliminate this thing, make the hole smaller with just a little keyway in there so we can just slide it on there without this, because this thing here is going to be a problem, because they do loosen up, and they do slip. I found that out because you can see I had a timing marker up there, and it kept moving on me, and I couldn't figure out why, and I kept tightening this thing up, and it kept moving, and when I was trying to start it, I almost got it started. That's before the motor crapped out. It started going, and then all of a sudden it just stopped, and then, you know, it was done. So anyways, this is what I figured out with the oil lines. I did not get the oil filter for the thing. They do sell one on there, but somebody hit me up on YouTube today saying that the filter is too huge and it doesn't do it. It doesn't fit, you know. So they must be sending the filter from the bigger 4-cylinder engine, because that had a filter on the side of it. So that must be the one they sent them, whether by accident, I don't know. So here's what I did. Let me get this close to you guys so you can see. I took the bottom line. This is from what I seen on their videos. There was nothing on the website. There was nothing in the directions. Nothing in here tells you where to set up your CDI unit, how to set it, or where to put your oil lines on, or how to adjust your oil pressures. They tell you how to do it, but they don't show you nothing. So I took the oil pan plug and I ran it to the bottom of the pump from what I could see in their test runs of this thing, the top goes into this little T here. Now, in the front, there's a really small nipple and a really small piece of hose that goes in the other side of the T. So apparently it must come out into the pump, into this bigger T, and go through the oil. There's an oil journal that runs along here with all these little set screws that you see here underneath there, and this one up here is just an overflow, I guess, to keep the pressure from, you know, keep it circulating. So I guess you have to take your side sights off on this side and then run your oil pump and then watch in your little sight glasses over here, your sight panels, and watch to see how much oil comes out of each one of these. And I guess you can adjust the little Allen heads in there to close the hole or open it up. Sounds like a lot of work, but long story short, now I've also got hit up. Somebody said that the pin that I had to make in here, they eliminated that, I guess. So I'll probably take the pump back apart, take the pin out that I made for it, and try. I just don't see two gears floating in an aluminum housing without some kind of a fixed pin. It looks like it's going to be a disaster if the thing starts gouging the outer part of the aluminum housing, because the pressure is going to push those two gears apart. So it's going to be constantly riding on that outer aluminum housing, and it's just going to take all kinds of shrapnel and just going to clog everything up, in my opinion. And without a filter, you know, I don't know. So this is all new to me, and like I say, for one thing, another thing I found out with the CDI unit. I'm going to get close to you guys here so you can see this. It was a really late night for me last night. It was probably about, I think it was 20 after 3 in the morning when I decided to put this thing away and just go to bed because I'd had my fill with it. Now in the back here, you got 4 holes in your front pulley. One of them, you're supposed to put your little magnet in, okay? They tell you to put the magnet with the color side out, and so it, you know, it triggers your CDI unit, which is right there, okay? Here's your CDI. Now, the directions say to line up your magnet top dead center on the top by the water pump, but then it says don't do that. It says put it on the bottom. So it's kind of off at an angle here. So you bring your engine up to top dead center, and then you line your magnet up with that little Hall sensor right there. So your magnet will be here, which I got my magnet marked over there. So if I turn this around, there, that's top dead center. I don't know if you guys can see this in here. It's top dead center, and I got my little magnet lined up with the Hall sensor in the back of the pulley there. So that's when something started happening. It started running, or attempted to run, before I had a starter failure. But so I want to go over the CDI in depth, I guess I should say. So here's what I found out. In your instructions, okay, if you notice, it shows that it comes with a oil filter, but it doesn't. That's an option. They shouldn't put it on there then. Now, when you read your instructions about your initial, you know, CDI settings, they tell you in here how to set your magnet, make sure it's flush so it doesn't hit the little bolt. They tell you to line it up. Let's see, it says here, the rotating pulley magnet triggers a Hall sensor closest to the water pump. It says, note, trigger can be advanced by 15 degrees. So, excuse me, up here, there's a Hall sensor at the top, and down here there's a Hall sensor at the bottom. So then I get online after going through their little online instructions, okay, and they have that crossed out and said, no, use the bottom one. So it's okay, that's not a problem. I can do that because this pulley just screws tight and flat. You can turn this thing, which there should be a keyway here to keep that, you know, I mean, just simple things like that would be cool. And have the Hall sensor adjustable where you can adjust it up and down. But the way it's made, you got to put the Hall sensor on first, then the pulley over top of it. So instead of adjusting the Hall sensor, you have to take the pulley off to adjust it, but you can't. So you can adjust the pulley. But now, here's another thing I found out. I'll get a close-up of this for you guys. Got to hold on to all this. On the Hall sensor, or on the CDI unit itself, they show your two Hall sensors here and here. And then they say your signal should be over here. But yet on the instructions online, they tell you, no, it's got to be here. So where is it, you know? So in the midst of my frustration last night, I had to take the cylinder head back off and then ground it, use the Hall sensor, keep turning this thing to find out what the firing order was here. So by observing your counterclockwise rotation, this being number 1, it's 1 3 4 2. That is your firing order on this. So it'll be 1 3 4 2. So I wanted to make sure that maybe these weren't mixed up because they show you, you know, 1 4 3 2. So, and then on your little instructions here, they show you 1 2 3 4. You know, so I hooked them up, you know, the 1 4 3 2, 1 4 3 2, like they said, and then turned it over to see if it could spark. But the spark was so weak, I couldn't see it, and it was kind of frustrating. So I don't know exactly. I think I got it right now by putting it on the bottom Hall sensor, because that's when it wanted to start. So we'll go from there, guys, you know. But I've had this engine, I had the cylinder head off 3 times, trying to figure out, you know, the relation. Because like a simple distributor on this thing would have been smarter. I mean, I know this is, you know, the new way to go and everything. I don't know if there's an advance in these CDI units or not. I don't think there is, but, and I know they do sell different CDI units that are not from these companies. They're ones for like your airplane engines and all that, which should be really reliable. And I don't know what the plugs look like either for the Hall sensor, you know, to come in there. I don't know, but the problem is with this stuff, it's, you know, here's the way I see it. I spent almost $1,000 for this, you know, because I wanted a 4-cylinder gasoline version of an engine. You know, do I regret it right now? Kinda. Is it a good engine? It is a good engine, but they just got a lack of communication and lack of good quality parts, you know. And I don't get it. But like I say, I'm tired, and you know, I just had to walk away from it for a while. So what I'm going to do, there's not even that much room for a brushless setup in here. I like the idea that they have the gear on there. It sounds like a real vehicle when you're starting it, you know. The belt systems on, you know, the earlier Toyans and stuff was kind of, you know, they wore right out, you know. There's a lot of strain on them. Where now the V8 has a gear to gear, you know, connection back here, and it works really well. So anywho, like I say, I'm gonna make a plate for this thing and try to put a different starter motor on there. I don't have any motors that are this small. There's not even no numbers or a name of a manufacturer, nothing on this motor, so I can't even find one locally. And I mean, I stumbled across the the L400 starter motors because one of my subscribers said it looked like one of the airsoft rifle motors, so I bought a bunch of those, which are nice. I don't know if that'll fit in here because they're longer, and this oil tee here is going to be in the way. You know, the motor may fit, but I'm gonna have to do some of this now. So, and that kind of defeats the purpose. So if I make another plate here out of flat aluminum, I can move the motor up here out of the way a little bit, you know what I mean, to give some room to more for oil, and so I can get in and adjust my oil journal plugs, because right now you have to take the starter off to adjust your plugs. So you have to you're constantly moving forward and taking 2 steps backwards while you're building this thing. So anyways, I'm excited to get the thing running. It was really cool sounding when it was starting to start. And I actually took my cordless drill and removed all this stuff, and you know, was playing with the settings and stuff, and that's when it started to go. But the engine didn't have enough power right off the bat to turn the drill, you know, over the gearing. So you know, it's just a catch-22. But so I'm going to try to use this with the little Toyin brushless. Now this little brushless motor from the FS100 will fit in there, okay? It has room, but the hole line, the 2 holes are too spaced apart, and I don't have a pinion. I can't get the pinion off this because the shafts are different sizes, and it's kind of you know, working against each other. Now if you have one of these degree wheels here, it's a little cheap things that come in your little like Walmart school kits, you know, it really helps when you're setting your CDI unit on the front, because you just set they got a line for 0, you set your 0, all right, and then you can see you can go up to, I think, 15 degrees back and forth for advancement. So there's room to play down there. So I just set mine exactly on dead center, and I did notice as I was turning it by hand, it would fire just as it started riding over the hall sensor. So I have room to play there, but I just need to get it to turn over somehow. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. I wanted to, like I say, come up with the update for the, you know, for your oil lines. I'll show you a close-up of how I did mine. I can get all this wiring here. Out of the pan into the bottom of the pump, out of the top of the pump into the T, and then this side here goes to that little tiny little nipple there, and then you got your grub screws here underneath everything that you have to adjust your oil pressure with. So the way that they're talking, I guess, is you screw them in, it'll choke the oil from spraying out that hole. That's what it'll just block it, is what it'll do. And you can probably tune it, but you're gonna have to have this oil pump running all the time. And I don't know how you're gonna do that. I don't know how you're gonna set your oil pump unless you're running this with a drill, because in watching how it sprays out here without making an oily mess, because stuff's going to be spraying out everywhere while you're trying to adjust this thing, and you can't do it while it's running because you can't see. You know, you can put a sight glass in there, but you need the starter out of the way so you can get to that last little grub screw under there, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna get my V8 out and play with that a little bit today. It was pretty cool. I do have some carb settings on this to start it, and then I've been leaning it out every run. I went through a lot of fuel this thing, about a half a gallon of fuel, and I think I've started it 5 times. and so now it's breaking in. So I'm leaning it out better and better and better. So, like I say, their initial oil settings on this are totally off. I had to have 4 turns out each way just to get it to start. Once it started breaking in, I could lean it out little by little where you let it run, burn up the fuel in the tanks. Now, when I say I was going through a tank of fuel, I am going through a tank of fuel. Now, this is the B5 tank, you know, the 5th scale gasoline tank. Now, I would fill it up to 3/4 of the way, and it would just eat it like nothing as it was breaking in. And it was a little more successful last night. But anyways, guys, like, share, subscribe if you want, and love to all. I'll be back with some more cool content, and I'll catch you later, man. Adios.